Welcome to umi-connections strategy chat, where we help people move from intention to action to reality, helping them realize their dreams through strategic thinking and strategic partnerships and just using strategy in their process. So what I'm going to be talking about today is the journey and being intentional about the journey and being able to respond to things that happen that and still keep the forward momentum. So I have my guest today, someone I've had the privilege of having a relationship with, brilliant, brilliant, gifted, visionary, talented, and made some bold moves in her life to get where she is. So her name is Miss Parchelle Hotten. She is the CEO and owner of Fresh Level Productions. She has grown that from an idea to a force to be reckoned with in the advertising space. You can find her on LinkedIn watching all her cool little videos. You can look her up online and find out the quality and the continuity of her work. But Parchelle, I'm so happy to have you here. Even the way we even got here is just such a blessing. So I would like for you to just tell us a little bit about who are you and what is Fresh Level?
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Michelle. I'm excited to hang out with you. The journey has been exciting to get to this point, so I'm very thankful for that too. So my name is Parchelle Hotten, and I'm originally from Virginia Beach. I'm a former high school teacher, and I now have my own production company. So we've been doing a lot of videos for a number of different companies in different industries. And it's all just been through the blessing of relationship and working and helping with people. So in a nutshell, that's what we do. We help produce video content and do it strategically such that our clients can benefit and see big returns on investment as a result of utilizing video in their marketing and operations in their business.
I have to say, again, being exposed to your company in its infancy and then seeing how far it's come, I'm just so excited for you. I know that you've kind of hit a transition point. It's almost like, you grow as a business, you hit a plateau, and then you hit another spike. And I really feel like there's another spike in you right now that is just maturing. So in terms of strategy, you made a bold move early on to move from being an educator to a videographer. So what kind of made that happen? How did that come about?
So it's funny, I grew up with the understanding and the teaching to go to school, go get your degree, and you start working. And so that's what I did for a number of, what I did, that was my track. But I was always interested in creating, right? I'm kind of like this weird left brain, right brain balance. So I like creating things, but I do enjoy math. I enjoy numbers. I like data and things that are logical and make sense. So I'm kind of like right in the middle between that. And so when I, went along the path of teaching high school, I was still interested in media, graphics, how to produce things online, whether it was a logo, a website, a flyer, doing little videos. And I think it was like the first year that I was teaching, I remember somebody reached out to me because I was doing this for a number of groups and organizations and churches and whatnot.
A side hustle or
yeah,
side gift that you were working.
Exactly. It just was the thing I was doing. And honestly, because of my, my exposure at that point, I didn't know that being in business for yourself was even something to do. I just thought I'm just doing this for fun. And so someone, they seen my work, something I did for someone else, and said, "Oh, how much would you charge, to do this for me?" And I thought, wait a minute, hold the phone. You mean that you would pay me to do that? And it was this concept of, oh my God, like I can do something creative and fun and adventurous and get paid to do it. And so that kind of started the thing to where even while I was still teaching high school, I decided to, start this business on the side. I mean, teachers aren't exactly the richest people in the world in terms of income. So I thought, well, this will be something I can do on the side to do that. And as I really explored that, I had a lot of questions and all that, but I decided to just, somehow these people came in my path that also were doing video and have been doing it for a number of years. So mentorship became really important at that point because I had a ton of questions. And a lot of people kind of just circled around me and helped to boost me up to where I wanted to go.
Mm-hmm.
And it got to the point where I was taking summers off to go do internships to produce up in DC. I was taking lunch breaks to go meet with clients, coming back with signed contracts. I was doing all of this and got to a point where clearly I couldn't continue, right? So I got with my mentor and I said, I'm thinking about doing this full time. I think I can actually do it. And so he put me on a path and, and kind of put some milestones in place. I didn't just up and quit, but I did have a plan in place that I went about to kind of tackle both and to do both as well as I could to make an informed decision as to what direction I wanted to go. And I realized that regardless of whichever direction I took, there was risk, So I decided to go with what made me happy and was exciting, and that was starting to do my business. And told my boss that I won't be coming back next school year. Yeah, and went on to do it. So yeah, that's kind of how that transition happened, and it's still the journey, still quite the journey for sure.
Well, it sounds like you did, like you said, you didn't just jump out of one ship into another boat. There was some thought applied to that. So can you tell me, like, was there ever a moment where you thought you were like gonna step back from it? And what kinds of thoughts did you have, and how did you counter them to keep moving forward?
Yeah, it's really difficult. It is challenging when you don't have that paycheck to rely on that you're used to, and you have to make it yourself. And that, and in times when it's looking like, well, I don't know, what's going to happen this month or the next month. Just in the beginning stages, it was difficult. But the thought process that I just kept having was like, I refuse to go back. It was almost like I refused to fill out another job application. I refused to. It's just something I made a resolve within myself when those thoughts, because those thoughts do come, and they have come to where like, oh, I could just take my skill set somewhere else and go work for a company. And granted, that option is still here now. The option is there, but it's almost like I refuse. The vision that I see and feel is just too strong, and I believe it so much so that I don't see going back into that realm as something that is for me and that I'm supposed to do. And what's funny is that even there were a couple of times where I thought, you know what, let me just do what I can to make some extra money. And even in that mindset of being an entrepreneur, I just went and I opened up myself to tutor. You know what I mean? So I was doing tutoring on the side. Instead of going back to teach, I was like, I'm just going to just tutor, and I still can make for myself. I can still create my income. So even though that changed, I still refuse to go back to working for someone else. That's not me.
Did you feel like the track that you're on, and we were talking earlier about how we're kind of, I don't want to say brainwashed, but our environment influences us early on in life. And then we have to unpack that to determine how does that align with my purpose. And I think that's what you're talking about, is you have a sense of purpose. Your dream has some feet, some legs, some wings, and it's moving. And so did you ever have to put your dream in the context of your upbringing? And was that a rub, or was that fuel for it?
In terms of the environment, I think that all of us, like I was mentioning to you before, are hardwired the way that we think and process things. I think from the ground up, in terms of our development in those, like between the ages of 0 and 7, maybe even up to 10, we're picking that up from our parents or the environment that we're around, that we grew up in. And so I think that we all, it's like we develop the best and the worst in our parents or in our upbringing.
Yep.
And that kind of creates this.
We filter it.
Yeah, and it creates that way in which we see the world. And so in a sense, yeah, I feel like, that does fuel, right? It fuels who you are and fuels how you're able to, and in sense, it's funny too, because I feel like being in business is actually more of a personal spiritual journey than anything else, because you really have to,
That's a good point.
Like anybody who's in business for themselves, just because of the level of belief you have to have in yourself and people and things that change, it's like, your environment for where you came from gave you that foundation, but it's your responsibility to change it for what it is that you want and what's going to serve you. So
That's true. That's very true. I'm on my journey too, in terms of even strategy chat is an entrepreneurial pursuit. But what's interesting is, like you said, there's a certain part of you that is being put out to the world. You're really exposing yourself with, it's your gift that's making your money. Like it's you. So any rejection or any failures can be much more personal for an entrepreneur, because you're not failing as an employee and going to go choose another job. It's, I am putting my art out, putting my gift out, and if it doesn't go well, I have to dig back, look back in myself, and work harder to make that gift better. Have you experienced that?
yeah, absolutely. You have to. It's interesting because I think that we all like if you really think about what it is that you want. In most cases, what you really, really want, in some aspects may be here, it may not be here yet. But whatever it is that you believe about yourself is kind of what fuels your ability to change what's around you. So,
So believe is a word that you've used a couple of times. How has believing and just even exploring what you believe impacted your journey?
yeah, so I grew up in church, and so I feel like I'm very thankful for like that spiritual foundation that I have, understanding, God, understanding, the world around us and things of that nature. And that's just been part of my vocabulary, if you will, for some time, like what it is that you believe. A lot of times people will say, well, I don't believe this will work out. Okay, well, that's what you'll have. Whatever it is that you believe you can or can't do, you're absolutely right. I forget who says that, but, I think belief is really key in how all of this comes about. Whatever it is that you believe and set forth to do, will happen. And I think that's just how it works.
I do, I'm going to piggyback on something else you said earlier. Was it's been a journey of relationships and connections. Would you say that they were happenstance and you just kind of fell into them, or were you intentional about where you were so that you could be exposed to certain people? Were you strategic about the content of the conversations or how you presented yourself? Like, how did relationships or connection play into your story?
That's a good question. I think that the relationships that were key were ones that I attracted, right? They came into my life because that's what I needed, right? That's what I was calling for in order to grow and get to the next stage of my life. And I think that relationships it's funny, like whenever you watch an award show, that person gets up, they don't talk about how hard the journey was. Some of them might, but in most cases, what are they doing? They get up to thank so many
This
people.
one and this one and this one for being with me. And
They run out of time to thank people. And I think that just goes to show you that there is an element of yourself, believing in yourself, but when you do that, the right people will come along so we can support each other in doing that. It can be very complex in terms of how it all lays out and all these timelines, but it always works in a way that serves where you want to go. And even though it may not seem like that sometimes, you just have to trust and believe it. If you do have a vision and a way that you see your life going, just trust that the people that are around you are there for a reason. If they are not, you need to change it. I heard one guy, because I listen to a lot of motivational, inspirational teachers and whatnot, and one particular person had suggested to make a list, right? On one, actually like a list side by side, right? Put a line down the middle of the page, you got two columns. On one side of the list, to put down what your goals are. What are the things that you're striving for, let's say this year or in your lifetime? And then on the other side, write down and track it for like a week or two, all the people that you interact with, right? Every single person that you talk to, just list, oh, I talked to this person. Oh, I talked to this person. You write it down and then even start to document the frequency at which you're talking to those people. And having that list right next to what your goals are is a good way to help you identify who is in your life that is truly serving you to where you want to go and who's not. And so that's helpful too. I mean, some people will come in your life because, again, you attract them, but you recognize too that some people are just not for you. They're not there to serve you.
Some people are passers-by,
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to hold on to them and hook them in and say, "Ooh, you got to stay." You're just, it was nice. It
Yeah.
was a great exchange. It was nice
Yeah.
to meet. But you might not be in it for the long haul. You might not be in it. And again, when it's your vision and your purpose, trusting people with that is a careful decision. At first, when you're on that journey, when you get started, you want to tell everybody. You want to see how many people can help and who can push and who knows who and might get you a gig or whatever. But as the gift grows and you start to see the fruit of it, I feel like I have been anyway, a little bit more careful with who I expose the gift to or who I do business with. It took some time to get there, but I feel like it becomes, that's one of the decisions you have to really think about when you're looking at that list. Because of what I hear you saying is that it really becomes about what's valuable to you. What are your values? And are these people aligning with what my values are? And if they're not, they don't have, how do I just manage my interactions with them? So it's not that I'm saying they have to go away, but how do I manage them? Because you have to manage your growth. So has your teaching background had any impact, or do you see any of those characteristics play out in your business?
Yeah. One of them is to be flexible. I think it was so interesting. I've had so many stories teaching high school math of all subjects, in which I just have a number of stories of things that have happened. But one of the biggest lessons that I can recall that I'm utilizing now in my business is the ability to be flexible, right? And to treat each day as if it as its own. Because when I was teaching school, I mean, these students, one day is never the same as the next. Because
you can tell us a story. We don't have names.
oh, I don't. It's just so many different things, between a fight getting ready to break out in your classroom, to stuff happening in the hallway, and then working in sports as well. Just every day was never the same with certain students, and so with that, you just have to be flexible. And I've found that to be the case too. Something may not work out the way I planned it, or something comes that shifts your plan, and you have to just be flexible and still know that the world isn't over. You know what I mean? That you can still adjust and move forward. And if it's not time for it to move forward, to take it as a huge blessing. I mean, I don't share this very often, but there was an opportunity where someone was interested in buying out my company. And that relationship was something that I really valued at the time, and I thought that would work out in terms of a business relationship, but it didn't. And so instead of being super mad and angry and upset about it, I realized that was not the path for me. So it's so awesome how sometimes intervention takes place to course correct and get you back on the where you need to be, even when we don't recognize it. And I think that's the power of grace and the power of this power that just guides us even when we don't even recognize it.
Yeah, course correction is huge. Can you give us a story or an example of where in the evolution of your business you've had to course correct?
Okay. Well, the one that comes to mind is what I was mentioning before. So the company that wanted to buy out the business, part of that was me coming up to Philadelphia. So I was originally in Virginia, and I moved up to Philly to explore that opportunity. But clearly that didn't work out. And at that point, I was faced with, okay, do I go back to Virginia and then try to even go back to teaching, right? Do I go backwards, or can I truly make something happen here? And like I said, there was a resolve. I made a decision, and I said, you know what, this is what I'm doing, and decided to just kind of change the course and to ramp it up even more. So literally starting from nothing, it was almost like starting over. I had to just go out, and it was relationships. It was going out networking. It was meeting the right people, and just believing really strongly what I was doing, to trust that the people would come into play. And so that happened. I mean, we ended up doing a lot of work with some notable companies, like SeaWorld Busch Gardens is one of our clients. Kimmel Center of the Arts. We did work with them. Worked with Verizon Spectrum. I don't know. It's just crazy because I could have resulted back and just went back to Virginia, but I decided to kind of just, I don't know, allow for what I believe strongly, just to see what would happen and to pursue that
I
with
think that's
everything
what people mean by fail forward, right? Because the flexibility allows you to keep moving regardless. And in that stumbling through the dark, you really probably, I think for me anyway, it's where confidence comes from. Like you said, it's resolve. And and you can get past the failure to the fun part, because so what you would just listen sounds like fun. Like I get it was work, but it's also your dream. So it was hard work, but it was fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Like when I look back, it definitely it has its good moments, its challenging moments, and even today, it's no different. It's just a different level of of uh of challenges than there were before. So
I think that is wisdom. That's a pearl. That's a nugget. We're not gonna leave that. We're gonna let you expand on that a little bit, because you called fresh level. You just talked about the next level, and it's not. I want to say more money, more problems, but it's really not more money, more problems. It's just life at the next level. So what is life like at the next level?
life at the next level is just the way that I see it, and this might sound very I don't know, too spiritual and deep. I don't care.
We don't have spiritual deep problems. We live to explore. Like, keep talking.
I think that the next level is just the next level is more expression of who you really are.
Mm-hmm.
That vision, that goal that you have, that next level is just like peeling back another layer of what's really underneath everything that you are.
Yeah,
So
I was listening to a speaker the other day saying, talking about if you weren't nice when you were at this level, you're not going to be nice when you're at the next level. If you weren't grateful at this level, you're not going to be grateful at the next level. So the more attention and the more notoriety that comes, that like you said, your true self is going to show. And so it's best to do the work rather than get to a pinnacle and then fall. It's best to do the work so that you can evolve with the journey instead of ride it and then crash.
yeah, and really the best investment you can ever make is in yourself, always.
Mm-hmm. As an entrepreneur, have you spent money, time, and energy in professional development, and how important is that to you?
That's pretty important because even when I got started, I had a bunch of questions. I hadn't changed. I just have questions on different levels.
Different questions, different level.
So, so now, I mean, I definitely still very much value being in connection with people who are doing what I aspire to do. So, and part of that too comes with a certain price tag. And I find that some people don't necessarily like to pay for coaching or pay for access to information, but you really have to understand that like giving is, you're really just giving to yourself at the end of the day, right? You're investing in yourself. So professional development has been really huge, and I've been definitely pushing even with my team, just to stay on top of what's motivating them, what's pushing them, what is their goal. And so we've invested quite a bit in development and learning, whether it's from the marketing side of things or even just regular coaching and how to process life, how to see yourself. And timing is an investment too. So even if somebody doesn't necessarily have the money to, let's say spend with a personal coach or mentor, you can utilize the content that's online, but it'll cost you your time, you know what I mean? And the time of having to figure it out, as opposed to working with somebody that can put you maybe 5 steps ahead of where everyone else is consuming content on YouTube, for example. So those things have been really, really huge. And my vision and goal is to be able to do that as well, to be able to give back and to help people who
kind of like
also
you're doing right now.
themselves, and and just to believe in themselves and to realize that they're greater than what they see. They're greater than what's around them right now. They can change it.
Yeah, so that was my next question, was that you speak and you travel a lot, which again, just from sitting on the sidelines and watching, it's such an inspiration. Because I remember sitting in Panera. I remember meeting you, I think, at the TCE summit. And it was just an idea, you know? And to see you with these wonderful clients and evolving into this mature, wise entrepreneur that does have the information to give to someone else. So when you're out there talking, what kinds of questions do you get, or what's the question you get most often?
A lot of people often ask me about, well, how did you go from, teaching high school to doing this? Because it's just so random, so different. You know, that I would say that's probably one of the questions I get often once I do start to open up and tell people more about me. Outside of that, people are just interested in what I'm doing and, what my company's about. So those are probably the most frequently asked questions that I get.
I'm going to ask a crazy question. What is fresh level?
So when I started the business, I knew I wanted to have the word level in it, just because to me it represents evolution, right? You're coming up. When you go to another level, you're increasing, you're getting better. And from the fresh perspective, I just knew that I just wanted, something I said, I wanted to be unique, different, something like, and it's like fresh, so that's how those two words came together, and been rocking with it ever since.
And you are unique, and you are oh, wow. So you talked a lot about your philosophy and your approach to life, and how that probably seems to be a part of your evolution, is your thought process evolved as your business evolved and as life evolved. So, and I actually watched a post with you this morning. So I don't know if this is the one you want to share, but what is the biggest lesson you have learned about turning intention into reality?
The biggest lesson that I've learned with that,
because intention is just, I want to, right? Or here's what my end goal is. But thinking about it and taking action, there's a moment between those two, and I would assume that as you've grown over the course of time, either the time has gotten shorter,
yeah.
or
I think, yeah. What I would say, the biggest lesson that I've learned is that the work to go from what you want to it actually being a reality, the work involved is not the work that we think. I think that we assume that the work is, all right, let me go and work harder. Let me, go apply for another job. Let me do all these things externally, right? I'm not happy with how this looks. I just need to change my living room, and then, then I'll be good, and I think that, right, let me switch this around. Or I just need to just get a new wardrobe, new shoes. That's the problem, And I think that people often look at their desire and what they want in the reality of becoming the places that you have to do all this work from the external, from what you physically see. And the big lesson for me is that the work really is something that happens internally and within. So the more that you, again, I don't want to sound too up in the air like I'm floating or something, but no, I think that's the biggest lesson. Everything, the solution or problem that we have is all inside. It's all internal, right? You are your biggest problem, and you are also your biggest solution. Therefore, it's really a matter of having more meetings with yourself, right? Kind of unplugging from what you don't see, so that way you can get a clear vision. There's another set of senses that we all have that enables you to see where it is that you want to go. And the more that you can do that and find appreciation for who you are, the path starts to unfold in terms of what is the next important move, what's the next thing that I should be doing, or even what's going to show up and present itself. And to realize as well that when you do make a decision for yourself and you start to choose your joy, there's going to be challenges and obstacles that come, because you choosing your joy is also breaking a part of your program that pre-existed.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever you start to come in with a, to change up a program, your body literally is going to respond, and your mind is going to tell you, oh, this isn't what we do. This isn't familiar. You know what I mean? And you're going to start to hear thoughts like, you need some cake. You need something sweet right now. You need this or that. When you're just trying to change something that is going to be good for you. So the other part too is just recognizing that there are going to be some obstacles and challenges that come, but simply because of that wiring that's there, you know what I mean? And when you do find those areas of conflict where you're, upset about something is just not sitting right within you, or you feel that sort of, rumble going on inside.
Yeah.
Yeah. To realize that, oh my God, this is wonderful. This is great. This is letting me know that there's something about my life that I'm trying to change that my body and my programming isn't agreeing with right now because it's not used to it. So what you have to do is just push past it, and then you start to create new programming. You start to create new ways of thinking, and more opportunities open up. So I think in a nutshell, the biggest lesson is just, like I said, I'm gonna try to sum it up, is to realize that your attention becomes a reality by working and going within. And then secondly, also it comes with understanding and anticipating the challenges to come. Don't be surprised when something comes up and you're like, oh, this doesn't feel right. Oh, this is weird. Oh, this is so uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Push past that,
growth and comfort do not go together. Growth, you cannot be growing and be comfortable. It's just impossible. Exactly. It's a natural rub, and it's a good rub, but they're not mutually exclusive. I am inspired by your wisdom at such a young age, good, but also by the validity of your passion being demonstrated in your profession, right? So it's not that you're just saying this because it sounds good. And I'm encouraging people to go look up Fresh Level and see the level of work that this young lady is doing, because this is not just a conversation of just ideas. This is ideas that have been put into action and that have resulted in professional and personal growth. And that's what Strategy Chat is about, is, like you said, you gotta have more meetings with yourself. And for me, strategy is constantly looking at the world as if there are blocks being presented, and what am I expected to build from them, and how am I going to do that, and bless people in the process, right? So I'm not just building things just because they're pretty, but how can I connect the dots? But we have to be intentional about that in order to really reap the benefits. Otherwise, you miss some of your greatest accomplishments, because, like you said, they happen inside, right? And if you're not paying attention, you're not meeting with yourself, you may have grown spiritually, or had more wisdom, or even taken some actions but you missed it because you didn't meet with yourself. You didn't take inventory. You didn't do those kinds of exercises where I listed things on the right and I listed things on the left. And analysis is huge to me. Like, we should constantly be assessing and analyzing our motives, our purpose, our achievements, our actions, just to be aware. And otherwise, how can you be aware of all of those things that you said, like, that come across your path? If you haven't analyzed what you missed, you won't know what to pick up. And so I am just so inspired by how in alignment we are in terms of what we're thinking, which is awesome. But also because that you are inspiring somebody behind you. There's another videographer or a content creator or somebody who's considering pivoting from one profession to a completely other profession. And sometimes you just need to know that you're not alone, that the journey is just that, right? It's a journey.
Yeah.
It's not the road less traveled.
Nope.
And I am so proud that you were able to come. I would like you to close a little bit, because I do like to promote all of my guests, and just give us where we can find you, what you're kind of up to, and what you'd like to leave us with.
Absolutely. So all of our information is, the best place to go is on our website, freshlevelpro.com. And that's where you find more about the business stuff. You can also reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm always looking to connect with people there. And if you actually go to my LinkedIn profile, you will see that one of the segment industries that we're targeting right now is the cannabis industry. So
I saw that, girl. I was like, yeah. Be opportunist, like, right, be in the environment where there's opportunity, like think ahead of the curve.
Yeah. So with that said, one of the things we're excited to launch in the next couple months to come is going to be a series of content that's going to be specifically for the cannabis industry. So for anybody who knows of a particular brand or someone involved in the industry that would like to be a part of that by being featured in it, that's a new move for us, and we're excited to take that on. So that would be my invitation, and anybody who's looking to do video as well, even if you're not sure where to get started, I can help point you in the right direction and see if we're a good fit to help whoever might be interested. And if you don't have any video at all, even if something off of your phone, doing it for yourself, you definitely should be jumping on that. If you're serious about being competitive and being driving people to what you're doing, you got to demonstrate it, you got to show it, and it's not as hard as you think.
I know that's right, girl, because I wouldn't be doing this if I hadn't watched people like you.
Oh, thank you.
So thank you so much for being a guest today. Thank you for listening to Strategy Chat. It's a fun ride. Strategy is a reward in and of itself, and there are so many wonderful, fabulous people like Miss Parchelle out there to get to know. So make those connections. Get out there, make friends. Thanks for listening. Bye.